Welcome, hola, what's good? Hey, y'all, hey. You are tuned in to Circle Up with Amanda Hurd. What's good, family? You guys know, again, I'm just so excited to be in the studio. I love it, love it, love it here. And this morning, or it's not morning, but this afternoon, I love it even the more so because I get to share it with one of my old school besties, and that is just a phenomenal thing. And so, we're in the season where we're sharing testimonies. And whenever you get to link up with somebody that you kind of walk the streets with, like, listen, that is a great opportunity. You guys are in the same space, sharing the same thoughts all over again, but in a better place. And so I'm excited about that. I want to welcome to the mic Khadeeja Bennett. What's up, Khadeeja?
Hey,
How are you feeling today?
I'm great. I can't complain. I feel amazing.
That is so good. So, so good. So, Khadija currently is, I believe, Wilmington, right? I
Yes.
guess. So, she's in Wilmington. So, we are actually doing this like over the phone. Crazy. I wish we were in the same building, but it feels like that every time you link up. And so, that's so special. So D, tell them a little bit about yourself. Like, I don't know, share whatever is on your heart. You don't have to give too much info if you don't want to, but fun color, fun fact, where you are, kind of let us know a little bit about you.
Okay. Well, I don't have a specific favorite color. I have like a lot of favorite colors. So so I just like to simplify it and say my color is rainbow. Like I just
Okay.
love all colors. Um it definitely fits my personality. So I would say that's my favorite color. I'm a mother of a 14-year-old boy. His name is Zion.
14 years.
Yes. Crazy.
Yeah.
Look, every time I think about it, I'm just like, I had him 14
Right.
years
Is this real?
ago. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, um what else? I just got engaged in December of last year. And yeah, I love the Lord and I serve any way I can. I'm a willing vessel of the Lord, and that's pretty much it.
That is so beautiful. I love the Lord and I serve any way that I can. I
Hmm.
think serving is just, I don't, that's been my word for this year, I want to say. But any way that you can, that's so beautiful. We get stuck in like literally serving in only the ways that we desire. But when you're open to
Hmm.
serving any way that you can, that is just a beautiful moment because it opens up so many opportunities to like learn even the more so of God. And then not only that, but to like show him to other people. And so
Yeah.
that's beautiful. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. So as you guys know, we are here for a testimony moment. I don't know if you guys been following along since the beginning, but y'all remember that one season I was literally trying to like beatbox to like literally to come up with like this testimony theme song. I get too excited, so I gotta calm down. I'm not gonna do that this year. I'm, I'm
That's so
going.
funny. You are still the same. Like
I'm
when
gonna
it
act
comes
like
to
I
being
got some
silly.
sense. Yeah. I'm gonna act like I have some sense, and I'm just gonna be like, okay, guys, it's testimony time. But listen, I'm so excited to hear what Dee has decided to share with us. And I keep saying Dee, even though I introduced her as Khadija, but that's just how I've always called her. So, and I'm pretty sure many other people call her Dee. I mean, Khadija is a long. How many letters is in your name?
8 letters, eight
Oh my
long letters.
gosh. Did you struggle learning how to spell your name when you was little?
Look, I would assume, but I don't remember. But I would assume.
It's so cool. I always thought your name was so cool, but I was just like, girl, that's a long name.
Oh man.
But yes, Khadija is going to share a beautiful testimony. And you guys know how I feel. There's no testimony too big or too small. God gets all the glory through any part of it. And so this is my first time hearing like what she is sharing today. So I'm just as excited as y'all. So let's sit back, relax, and D, take the floor. Bring us in.
Okay. Um, this okay, so this is tough for me because I'm assuming as everyone else, we have a lot of tests. So like the only thing that is fresh to my mind is just me here recently losing my job. I was with this company for 5 years. And I put my life into this company. Like
Mm.
I literally just I knew nothing else. I grew within the company. I grew as a person within this company. So it's like that's all I knew.
Yeah.
So when I lost my job, it was devastating. Like I cried. I screamed. Like I was worried, like on about how I'm gonna pay my bills.
Yeah.
It was it was tough. I will say that I know that it was definitely meant for me, because in that job that I gave my all and gave my life to, it wasn't for, I mean, it taught me a lot, but it was time for me to come out of that
Mm.
job. And if God wouldn't have pushed me out, I would have never left, because
Wow.
I was so comfortable. I was so complacent. It was secure. I had benefits. I had opportunity to continue to grow and move up in the company. And it was hard.
Yeah.
But in the first week, it was tough. I'm gonna say, like, I didn't leave the house. I sat in the bed and I tried not to get depressed. But depression tried to get a hold of me. So it
Yeah.
was like, okay, God, like, even though this is taken from me, I trust you. I trust you in everything in my life. I want your will to be done for my life. So I can do nothing but to trust you, because I know that all things are working for my good.
Yeah.
So with during that process, it's still a process, because I still have yet to find a job, but I'm still trusting in God.
That's good.
And this is a testimony, because I could have lost my mind in that. I could have dropped back into depression with me losing my job. But God,
Yeah.
like He sustained me. He's sustaining me. Um, it's just crazy, because like with having that job, like obviously, I was depending on getting paid every 2 weeks. I was
Right.
depending on
Right.
that money. And in this process, God has showed me, like, yeah, you were depending on that check, but who's your provider?
That's
Who's
good.
your resource? Um, and I had to think, like, God is my resource. Like, everything comes from you,
Yeah.
everything comes from you. You know, I'm grateful for that. So, um, like I said, I was worried about, how I was going to pay my bills, but with having that job, I was worried. I was living paycheck to paycheck, like, oh my gosh, like I'm ready to get paid again, because I got to pay this, I got to do that, I got to
Mm.
do this.
Right.
But now, not having a job, like, God is providing for me, and it's just so funny. Like, it's just it's like I don't have a job, but I'm still good.
Good.
Like, this is mind blowing. So that's my testimony. Like, God is still good,
Yeah.
even though I don't have what I desire right now. Like, even though I don't have, like, a job, but I just feel free. Like, when I lost that job, I felt a load being lifted. Like, I
Wow.
felt like I just felt free, because I felt like I was in bondage. Like, I was paranoid already, about losing my job, because it was a very stressful job.
Wow.
I was responsible for other people, not just myself. I had to hold others accountable. So it was really stressful. So I thank God that He sustained me. He's sustaining me through it all.
Yeah,
And
that's so good.
that's really it, girl.
That's so good. You said so much that was just so good. That I kind of want to pick apart a little bit. And you started off talking about how you put everything into your job. Like
Mhm.
you stated you put your whole life into your job.
Mhm.
And I believe so many of us can testify to moments like that. I just did a podcast last season um talking about pruning, and well, the whole season was based off of pruning. And one of the episodes was blank over everything. And it was just
Mm.
it talked about how, in life, this life that we live out, we get to a place where we find ourselves saying, money over this, money over that, like family over everything, money over,
Mm.
like we put all of these worldly desires over everything.
Mhm.
And it was an encouraging podcast to get back to a place where we begin to put God over everything,
Yeah.
because it, like you stated, it's through him, right, that all
Mhm.
of these things are possible. It's through
Yes.
him that those checks are coming, that we're
Yes.
able and we're healthy enough in our bodies to get up and go out to work and make the money. And so just getting things back into order, that stood out to me when you said, I put everything into this job.
Mhm.
And with all of us being able to testify to that thing, it's an eye opener to
Definitely.
hear you even come back in throughout the testimony and say, like, I had to realize that it was through God that these things
Mhm.
were available, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just think that's a mouthful alone. That's so much, because um, when you take God out of the equation,
Mhm.
it's like you have to question yourself, what am I doing this for? You find yourselves in places that are just so far away from him, so out of tune with him, that when things begin to leave you or your situation begins to change, you feel as though you have nothing left,
Yes.
right?
Oh my. Mhm.
Wow. Can you imagine that place? Like, if you, like, losing your job, something that you depended on wholly, and
Mm.
then not having God, like, what would that feel like? What would that look like? Right?
Yeah. Like if I didn't have if I wasn't rooted in God and that would have happened, like I would have been depressed. I would
Yeah.
have been stressed. I would have been, you know, frustrated. I probably would have took, my frustration out on people that I didn't need to take it out on. Like it I definitely wouldn't have I would not have been in a great headspace. Like
Right.
and I know how it feels to be depressed. I know how it feels to feel like you don't want to live anymore. So I just can imagine what I would have been like if I didn't have God.
Right.
So I thank God, like, and I just wanted to say, like, just so people can kind of imagine, like, when you're putting this thing before God or before your family, um, you're making that thing an idol. And I didn't realize that I was literally like making my job an idol. Like I went home thinking about work, and
Yeah.
you're supposed to be able to just leave work and leave work at work,
Yeah. That's
leave
so good.
home and leave it at home. And it was a time like earlier this year, this was another reality check. My mom was sick. And well, she was rushed to the hospital. I didn't know what was going on. And it was a major eye opener because she called me. She never really calls me at work. So I didn't answer because I had a customer in front of my face. I was assisting a customer,
Mm-hmm.
and she called again. And I was like, Mom, hold on, I'm gonna call you back, or whatever the case is. And she was like, I'm in the hospital. They have to do emergency surgery. And in that moment, I'm panicking, like, what in the world is going on? But I'm like, I can the customer. Like, I
Mm.
should have been able to just drop everything I was doing to see what was going on with my mom. And I felt I didn't I tried not to go in a place where I was like, you know, condemning myself, but
Mm-hmm.
it it really was like a reality check. Like, wait a minute, like your mom could have died, but you put
Yeah.
this job before your family. That's how I looked at it. I know my mom would never look at it like that. She understood, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But when God is dealing with us, sometimes it's just he uses what touches our hearts the most. And that was one of those things, one of those moments for you, like,
Mhm.
maybe everybody else that wasn't in the situation can't understand to that level, just because like that was for you,
Right.
but
Right. Yeah.
it doesn't mean that he won't like work with somebody else or grab somebody else's attention, in
Yeah.
their field or how they are, where they are. And so wow, that was deep. I feel like so many um of us, I think it's one of those things we can't really shake when we idolize things. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think we do. We put those things first. And
Mm-hmm.
so when these crazy moments happen in our lives that's calling our attention, um,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard for us to choose. Like, it's hard
Mm-hmm.
for us to know what's right, what's
Mm-hmm.
wrong, because whatever it is that we idolize is what we put first. And so
Wow.
that was good. I like that.
Mm-mm.
Something else you said that I wanted to talk about a little bit. You said, if God wouldn't have pushed you out, then you would have never left. And that's so good too, because I feel as though like there's been so many times in my life that I can identify
Mm-hmm.
with, that if certain things didn't happen, I would have stayed in those situations. And those situations were harming situations. And I say, like, again, everybody's journey is a little different. So, I mean, your
Mm-hmm.
situation is your situation. But I know for a fact some of the things that I was in, they were just they were damaging. They were no good for me whatsoever. And I didn't see myself leaving them. And when I did begin to see myself leaving them, I didn't have enough in me to take
Mm-hmm.
the step to move, And so thankfully God, stripped those things from me.
Mm-hmm.
And we hear this a lot, the same God that gives is the same God that can take away. Like,
Yeah.
gives and he takes. And so I just think that whenever we have him, that is like the biggest blessing in like our trials, is to be able to witness his hand in it versus just like the worldly's
Mm-hmm.
perspective of it,
Right.
because like you said, without that, if you wouldn't have been able to recognize, no, this was a move of him, then you could have lost your mind in that place,
Mm-hmm.
you know
Yep.
so how were you able to recognize that that was God pushing you out versus just a mistake that you made?
Yeah. Um, so different reasons, like, okay, for example, um, so okay, so I worked at a bank, and I was uh the manager for the tellers. So it was, what happened, it could have been avoided, if that makes sense. Like,
Mhm.
there was an impersonator. I did my due diligence with asking them all the necessary questions, with doing everything that I needed to do. Um, and I got like a gut feeling like, something isn't right about this interaction, So
Mhm.
I got my manager, who was above me, involved. And to make a long story short, like, it could have been the transaction could have been reversed a lot sooner.
Mhm.
But it happened the way that it needed to happen. So um I just think that it could have been avoidable. I could have probably did more to, make sure that I was covering myself. But it happened the way it needed to. So I know that had to have been God. Not only that, like, I've been having this urge and this feeling to just like leave, to find something different, but I was scared.
Mhm.
I was so scared of not, um how can I say it, being successful.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to step out on faith. Like, I was like, well, God, I don't know what to do. Like, I feel this urge to leave.
Yeah.
But this is secure. Like, I know I can move up in the company. I know I can make more money. I know, like, my son and myself are gonna be covered. We're gonna have benefits. Like, I know I have all of the things. So I just wouldn't do it. So that was like, with me losing my job, that was an indicator, like, okay, you wouldn't do it, but I'm gonna push you. Like,
Yeah.
this is, your time is up here. like you served your purpose here. Now it's time to move to the next thing that I have for you.
Y-
And I'm still seeking God on that next thing, but I know it's going to be greater, and I know it's going to be where he needs me to be.
Yeah, that's so good. Um, just thinking about like how you were just talking about, you knew there were some other things, but you were afraid to step out on faith.
Mhm.
And a lot of times when God is speaking to us, when he's, challenging us to do a thing, he's preparing us. One thing that he requires of us is obedience.
Mm.
And so when we don't move out in obedience, and obedience is a scary thing, right?
Mm.
Like, like obedience, like it sounds like it's easy, just like obey. Like if I tell you to do something, just do
Just
it.
do it.
But but honestly, it's like it's a little deeper than that because
Mhm.
obedience requires like faith, it
Mhm.
requires trust. It requires stuff from us that are a bit more challenging to not
Mhm.
just do. Like, right?
Mhm.
like, like, yeah, I want you to start your own bank. You like, what? Like, I ain't
Who?
got no this, I ain't got no investors, like I ain't got the funds, I don't have. But if he's telling you to do this thing, then again, it's a requirement that you move in obedience. And it's like, well, we just talked about this. How do you just do that? Right? How do you
Mhm.
just quit your job that's supplying you with the money and stuff you need and then start something that you have no understanding of? Like,
Mm. Mm.
how do you do that? And so
Ooh.
faith, right? It's like
Yeah.
start moving, start having these appointments, start meeting up with people, do these necessary steps, and you never know what doors are opening for you. You never
Mhm.
know what's working in your favor, but we can trust and believe that things are working in our favor because simply the instructions came from God, right?
Right.
And so that was just a beautiful thing how you spoke about like he wanted me to do something. There were some things that I've been feeling like, all right, it's time to go. There's some things that have been on my heart to do, but I just didn't move out on faith. Like
Mhm.
I
Right.
didn't I didn't move
Yeah.
out in trust. And so that caused him to say, okay, well, let me shut all of these doors so
Mm.
that you can move into these open doors I have available for you. And
Ooh.
so literally you were still being a little stubborn. Like,
Right.
no. And he had to boot you out. And those are just good moments. And I'm glad that we're talking about this because if anybody can find themselves in those places where you feel God tugging on you, you feel
Yeah.
that business stirring up inside of you, you
Yeah.
feel, those ministries ready to be birthed outside of you, but you're afraid to move
Mm.
out on faith. You're afraid to
Mhm.
trust God. You say you do with your lips and your mouth, but what
Mm.
is your heart saying, right?
Mhm.
Like if you can learn from this Khadeeja just literally said like she's still processing through this thing, and it's not a bad
Mhm.
thing. It's not a bad thing. These are the results of her response, so it's not a bad
Mhm.
thing because the door's still open. Like, but now it's just a little rougher angle because of
Mhm.
not moving when you were called to move.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's still a beautiful painting. It's still a beautiful picture. But it's like,
Mhm.
what do we learn from this testimony, right?
Mhm.
How do we grow from this testimony? And so that was just, I really love that you highlighted that. Um, that was good. It was even good for me. Because I feel the same way. I feel like there's some things, I've been working on some stuff and I've been moving on some stuff. And then
Mhm.
I kind of slowed down in some stuff. And it's just like, I can still feel God, urging me to keep going,
Mm.
keep pushing. And I've
Yeah.
slowed down on it because of my faith in it. Do I really trust and believe that it's going to do what it was called to do? I say it with my mouth, but what is my heart saying?
Right. Yeah.
So this was encouraging for me.
Look, I got re-encouraged. Like I'm over here like, okay, God, I should have listened to that still voice, like
Yeah.
just leave. But I was nervous, I
Yeah.
was I wanted to make sure that okay, so as humans, we always think that we can control things, we can do
Yeah.
this. So it
Yeah.
was a sense of control.
Mm.
Like I'm gonna take care of this. I'm gonna do this. But God had to show me like, no, I am that I am.
Yeah.
Like
So good.
not you. So, it's like, okay, I was trying to, in a sense, control my life,
Mm.
control what happened next, but I couldn't. So I needed to just chill out, listen to God, and obey. Like, and I'm learning that it is in this walk with Christ is not easy, but
Mhm.
it's worth it. Like, I'm learning to just do what he says to do. I mean, there obviously I'm not a disobedient person, so let me
Right,
just make that clear.
right.
But you
Right, but
know,
we all have our like moments of, you
yes,
see, and that's another thing that I think is so understood sometimes. It's like disobedience isn't always like almost like if I tell my daughter to clean her room,
hmm
you know, when a mother tell you to do something, they mean right then and there. Like
exactly,
if she say wash them dishes, she mean wash them dishes now. Like not
right,
later, not tonight, not wash them dishes. And the part she leave out is now. But she's
right,
expecting you to get it done now. And
right,
so you may do them a little later, or you may do them, you know, in your free time, but that still makes you in a sense disobedient because you knew
mm-hmm.
exactly what she meant when she spoke. And
Mm-hmm.
so not necessarily, you know, it's not necessarily a horrible thing in that sense. Like you still did what you were supposed to do, but now you're in trouble. You're still in trouble because you disobeyed, you know. It's like, Mom, I washed the dishes though, but you washed
You
them on
didn't
your
do it when I
own
tell you
time,
to do it,
right? And
right?
so it's not always like saying wash them dishes and then the child responds saying, no, you wash them dishes.
Right,
Granted, that's disobedient too, but now we're looking on a higher level of disobedience. You know,
right.
now you're looking at a blunt disobedient. Like now, you know, you asking
You're
for
gonna get
something.
spanking with that one.
Look, you asking for something you don't really want.
Exactly.
But and so I look at it like that a lot too, you know. And I'm not lightening the load of disobedience. It's just that when everybody, you know, walks in a form of disobedience, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're trying to fight against God. You know,
Right,
there's
right.
just something along the line there that needs a little tightening. Maybe your faith
Uh-huh.
needs to be strengthened a little bit, you know?
Yes. Yep.
And what I love about this is now that we kind of dug into the testimony, now that we kind of broke it down a little bit and
Mhm.
kind of found some good stuff in it. I love that you said in the midst of your testimony, you said, "But God." And that is like a bold statement that so many believers use, but God,
Mhm.
but God. And
Mhm.
that means so many different things depending on the individual, but it all wraps back into the same thing, right? And that's
Mhm.
what I love about it the most. It's like, yeah, I'm going through this. I lost everything. I'm in this valley. I'm facing all these trials, but God, what does that
Yeah.
mean when you say that? Like, I hear
Mhm.
God is still good. I hear I'm going to be okay. I'm
Mhm.
secure. I hear greater is for me. I hear, you know, I just hear the better side, the benefits of, you know, everything that I went through. I don't hear anymore the downpour of like um just the hard stuff that I'm
Yeah.
facing, you know. I hear the enlightenment. I hear the weight being lifted when you
Yeah.
say, but God, that changes
Whew.
everything, right?
Girl, every time you say it, like it's just like I feel God, like
Yeah.
because his name is powerful. Like even in the midst of whatever you may be, and I'm just saying anybody may be going through, like just look at it as everything is working for my good. This is happening, but God got me covered.
Yeah.
This is happening, but God is going to bring me through it. This is
Good.
happening, but God he's my resource. He's my provider. He's my sustainer, you know? Like it's just that can just go so many different ways
So
and
many different ways.
that's just how I use it, I
Yeah.
guess.
So good. So good. I hear you getting excited, girl. So
Girl, look, I'm over here like trying to
good.
I wish we were together. I really do.
Yes.
Like, whew.
But God. So, if there is any final words of encouragement from your testimony, because what I love about the testimony you chose to share is that you're currently going through it. And so, if there's any other words of encouragement that you would like to leave with the listener that may be going through exactly what you're going through, or something so close enough that it feels like the same weight, what would you leave them with?
I would just say just it's easier said than done, but just trust God. And you have to make sure that you have a personal relationship with him. because when those trials and tribulations come, if you don't have that personal relationship with God, like, you may fail, you may, get weary. And I'm not saying that you, even in with a personal relationship with God, that you don't get weary, but
Mm-hmm.
you just have to remain strong in God and know
Yeah.
that He's our stronghold. Like, He's gonna bring you through, and just trust that, because He is God, like the God of this universe. Like, just trust in Him, and everything gonna be all right.
Yes, that is so, so, so good. Oh, I love it. I love this. I love it. This was just beautiful. Thank you again for sharing your testimony. Thank you for sharing your words of encouragement. If you guys, found something and just hearing the voice of Dee today that made you want to, hear a little bit more about her, connect with her, try to maybe talk to her so that you can go deeper about this thing. Feel free to reach out on her. Dee, what's your Facebook so that people can find you if they feel they need to connect?
Yeah. It's Khadeeja Bennett. My Instagram is, oh gosh, wait a minute. KEB. It may be easier to find me on Facebook. Khadeeja Bennett, KHADEEJA Bennett, BENNETT. And yeah, I'm more than happy. Thank you so much. Moosie's is what I know her as, for having me. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's an
absolutely. Absolutely. I love you lots. If this is your first time tuning in to Circle Up with Amanda Hurd, you can follow us for more content, insight, put a face to the voice at Facebook and Instagram at CircleUp_AH. And if you love what you see there, be sure to follow. And hey, we are trying to grow this Facebook account. So yeah, follow us there. Subscribe to our Facebook page. That's Circle Up with Amanda Hurd, HERD. Love you guys lots. Can't wait to talk to you next week. Bye.